Good morning, folks, and welcome from DIY hell. If I look a little tired, it's because I just woke up. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning, which I know is not very early, but I was up until about 4 a.m. doing various bits of DIY, painting, dealing with technical issues on video editing and that kind of thing. But I'm very, very excited because today I've got the whole day set aside for allotmenting. We're starting indoors though, because there's a few very exciting things to show you in the conservatory, garden centre halls. But before I do that, I wanted to give you a quick update on the LetPot system. If you missed the video where I set this up, I'll link it in the description, but it has been 26 days. And how do I know it's been 26 days? It's got a little counter on the front, which is so cool. I'm running it at about half brightness and the water level has started to diminish now, but after about 30 days, I'm really pleased. We've got Rocket that's coming up and we've been taking little harvests of this, like a cut and come again, and just kind of nipping off the bottom leaves, and it is absolutely gorgeous. We've got some things were a little slow to germinate. In there we've got a tiny little dianthus flower seed. This lupin, which is, I mean, it's a bit pathetic compared to the one I'm about to show you, but we're just happy that we were able to grow at least one lupin. The other two seeds for the lupins unfortunately didn't take. This phlox here is looking really good. Took quite a long time to get going, but now it has. It's really started to put on some growth. And then what have we got here? Well, I couldn't resist, and we actually kind of ran out of chilies. Not chilies. I definitely haven't run out of chilies. I meant we ran out of other seeds that we could think of to sow in here. So I sowed 2 lines of champion chilies. Bit of a whoops on my behalf. I mean, I definitely don't need any more chili peppers, but this has been really cool to have running in the background. There were lots of things I was a little bit concerned about, like the fan noise, not the fan, the like the pump noise, which I'm pleased to say it's really quiet. It's not on at the moment, but it just kind of hums away in the background. It's quieter than the fridge next door. Something else I'm a little bit kind of slightly concerned about, I guess, is when I want to transplant some of this stuff, just because I've never done it before. And going from a hydroponic system into soil or compost or a potting mix can be, I think, a little bit kind of stressful for a plant. I do think, if Jess lets me, I will try and grow one of these chili peppers on. I should have done some tomato seeds actually, and it would be really cool to have like a chili and a tomato in just these two and see how big they get and if we can get some crops indoors, especially over winter. I think that would be really cool. But the real main event out here, like, so please excuse the mess. We're in the midst of DIY hell, but yesterday I went to the garden centre to pick up some silver grow, and oh my goodness, it was St Margaret's Nurseries in Fareham. I mentioned it on the channel before, and they had just some irresistible deals that I want to show you. We had this just about kind of cleared out all of the plants that we were growing on in the conservatory. It's not an ideal situation for them in the conservatory, and there's only 2 trays that we had in there. It was these zinnias, which have started to grow, and the amaranth, which are just so slow, but they have finally started to do something. There's another seed tray here, one of Jess's, and these were the only 2. And now look, we've got stuff everywhere, all over there and all over here. It just puts a smile on my face. You know, I was talking the other day about my kind of introduction to allotmenting and how my tastes and things are changing and that kind of thing. It wasn't long ago. I could not have imagined myself going to a nursery, looking around at all the flowers and going, oh, this would look really nice, or oh, that's cheap, oh, that's a really good price, or oh, Jess might like that. It was just really nice. It was just me. So I spent something like 20-25 quid, and I got so much stuff that I could bring back for Jess, and it was really sweet. Whoops. Now, because I don't have much experience of garden centres, I'm not sure if these were cheap, but they seemed incredibly cheap. So here I've got some lobelia and some alyssium, and there's 12 plugs in each of these. And from St Margaret's Nursery, these were like 3 quid each. 3 quid for 12 plants. I thought that was absolutely incredible. So we've got some nice purples. They did have some nemesia. These are maybe a little colourful. I'm not sure that I love that kind of burst of colour, you know, when you've got the really quite aggressive, like yellows, oranges, pinks, purples, all of it. But they're all here. There is some white ones on here, so these might be a little bit much, but I do really love nemesia. And this is why I said the lupin that we've got looked pathetic. I did see they had like a lupin that was £20 as well, and it was giant. It was absolutely huge. It must have been overwintered, but we've really struggled with lupins, and Jess really, really wants one. So I got this little red one, and this was about £6. Might be the most I've ever spent for a live plant. That's not true, I bought those sweet potato slips. And then 2 more. This is a tray, once again, this is 9, not 12, but these are both 9, not 12 actually, but same price. And these are asters, which we've never tried before, and Jess thinks she's not gonna like. Asters and zinnias are kind of similar, those big, super blousy flowers. They've always kind of scared us a little bit. They look a little bit, just, whoa, you know? But I think maybe in the context of like imagining them in the garden now, I think they might suit. And I did get some dahlias as well, which Jess always says she doesn't enjoy. But as soon as they're in flower, she's like, oh, that looks really pretty, what's that? And I'm like, that's the dahlias that you say you don't like. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but just really, really good price. And I couldn't believe that I was just going around a garden centre, a nursery by myself, picking up plants and putting them in the trolley. Jessie was telling us on Potty Mouth the other day, I wasn't there actually, but I did catch up and watch it, and she was saying her mum is really like, put it back, you can sow the seeds, you don't need that, you don't need that. And that was me for a really long time in garden centres. But times are changing, times are changing. It was very funny because Jess said she didn't want to go to the garden centre with me, but then as soon as I came back, she got the bug, and then she wanted to go to a different garden centre and pick up some bits. So we've got some Nepeta. There's one over here that she rescued, and we quite often say that she rescued things from the garden centre, but what we mean is when it's on the reduced. This one was £3.50. A pulmonaria, we'll see if that comes back. She got some geraniums, and this is actually the main thing that she wanted to pick up, a delphinium, because once again, one that she tried to grow quite a lot this year, so quite a few seeds, and didn't have much luck. Oh, there's another one here I missed. This is one that I got. These little verbenas, I really, really like them. They're really cute. They kind of get that central spike, and then like boom at the top, which I think would scare me if it was like a really big plant, but these cultivar verbenas stay really quite small and compact. And then something else just picked up, some salvias there, some blue ones there, the red ones, the other ones were red, and this is a Veronica. I tell you what as well, we've got this little tub of sunflowers that was like a gift that someone bought Jess, and I think these are in cocoa coir. They did, to be fair, get eaten by slugs at the start, but then we brought them inside, and this is just a coir mix. And do you know what? They've just sat there. And I'm pretty sure it's just because they're in coir and nothing else. It's not been fertilised or like fortified with any feed. Absolute scam. Absolute scam. Now, we did a back garden update the other day, so I'm not going to spend long out here, but I just wanted to quickly mention that this is by far the best the garden has ever looked. And this year we've just been enjoying it so much. The last 2 days we've had barbecues. And it's just really coming to life. The sweet peas are going crazy at the back. The roses are in full bloom. Some of these roses that Jess has bought, I mean, I've always been a bit down on roses. They've never been my favourite, but some of them, like this one. I think this might be the Danica. And oh my goodness, the sweetness. It's almost like a gingerbread like smell. It's just so sweet and so lovely. Forget-me-nots are maybe slightly taking over, but the wallflowers and everything just looks so good. A few of the ranunculus are starting to burst, and it's just wonderful. We've been spending so much more time out here recently as it started to warm up. All the foxgloves on the back. Just love it. Just to have plenty of things to plant out over here. This one I've been meaning to update you on for ages. This is my slightly confused looking overwintered orange accordion tomato, and it really nearly croaked. It really looked like it was on its way out, but it's just about hanging in there. So we might just stick that in a bed in the garden this year, in the back garden that is. And down here, miraculous recovery. The carnations have finally started growing upright. For so long they were so floppy. There's some more in this tray here. They just looked absolutely pathetic, but they've really just recently kicked into life. I think they needed the heat and the sun. I just absolutely love it. Now, I need to do a bit more recording for a different video, and then I'm going to have an absolutely massive breakfast and quite a lot of coffee. I'm going to have something very greasy to give me the energy for hopefully a full entire day at the allotment. And I think this is going to be a bumper video because I just, like I said, I want to spend pretty much all day up there, take lots of drinks. Hopefully that big breakfast will see me through though, and I won't need to stop, and I'll have plenty of energy. There's lots that I just need to transport up to the allotment as well. There's a cold frame that I built up the back there that Jess hasn't really found a use for and doesn't really want anymore. I knew that would happen when she asked for it, but I'm going to take that one up to the allotment, and I think it's got like a perfectly working hinged lid, so I can use that for the brassicas and all that kind of thing, just net it. I'm going to be a bit cheeky as well. I just said that I bought most of these things for Jess, but I did want to take maybe, I don't know, a third, and we're kind of running out of space in the garden, so I'm doing Jess a favour, really. I'm doing Jess a favour. I do want to take some up to the allotment because I really want to plant quite a few more flowers up there this year. Ta-da! We finally made it. It's about 12 o'clock. Sometimes things just drag on, and spent ages like trying to just find stuff. Like, I sat in the shed, oh no, it's under the stairs, back and forward. Oh, I've run out of water, I need to go to the shop. Oh, I need to pick up a prescription. Anyway, we are here now, and it's an absolute beauty of a day, you know, just not too hot, perfect gardening weather. But the car, oh good Lord, it's rammed. The cold frame fit within like 1 centimetre. Absolutely perfect. But there's so much going on in here. We've got all of the pillaged plants I've just taken from the conservatory. Some food for the compost, loads of bags of silver grow, the strimmer. This is quite exciting, a few more pots in there. There's a little sprayer down there because my other one broke. Really good for kind of misting plants or spraying fertilizer. And then in the front seat, new order of all sorts of pots and bits and bobs that we'll get out and have a look. And oh look, a few veg that I couldn't resist. So just give me a minute to heft all this around. I'm so lucky that I can drive literally back up right onto the entrance to my plot. You know, I know so many people who can't do that. So yes, gonna get the silver grow unloaded, and that that cold frame's bloody heavy and awkward, but yes, I'll be back with you in a moment. So not too hot, but definitely not exactly cool either. It always feels good delivering silver grow. Here is today's cargo. I mentioned the other day I was going to put that cold frame up the other end of the polytunnel, which I think will be quite high on the priority list of things to do today. Let's open up those and have a look, and open up those, I think. I mentioned at the start today, I think it's going to be a bit of a long one, but I have no plans whatsoever. It's just going to be a reactive one coming up. Loads and loads of time. A few big jobs that I kind of want to do, like prepping these 2 beds for the brassicas, maybe getting them netted, but the brassicas have still got a little way to go just yet. Want to get that cold frame done. I want to do probably quite a bit of bed prep. The weeds are starting to take over, and I'm sure I'll find some other things to do. Everything in the greenhouse looking pretty healthy, actually. The ones in this greenhouse are looking very droughty, so I'm going to give these a water, and then we'll have a look at those pots. There was something else exciting. I've brought up the petrol can because today I'm going to get the old lawnmower out again. And I'm very, very glad that I thought to bring this because I had a feeling the grass would have exploded, and it has. I arrived and I was like, oh, okay. So we're going to get the lawnmower out today. I've still got the strimmer to do the edging, but this is just a selection of slightly smaller pots. Oh, look at that. What a sight, isn't that? A gardener's delight. Now these are from Oakland, I think. No, they're not from Oakland. So the big tubs, those potato tubs, they're the ones from Oakland Garden. And I did buy a few other things. These are from Elixir Gardens. And I get asked quite a lot which pots I like to use. And I've never had these ones from Elixir before. These, I think, are 0.75. And Elixir are normally really heavy duty. And they do say on the website that these ones, the 0.75s and the 0.25s, are much, much flimsier. And I thought I'd get like 100 of these, maybe 200, just to see. I think it's about 10, 15 quid, not too expensive, but these do feel quite flimsy. I don't think these will last that many seasons. But when I was doing my potting recently, I was really surprised at how I was running out of the smaller pots. And these are bigger than I meant to buy as well, actually. The 0.75 is closer to a litre than I expected. So that's a bit annoying. These will definitely get used, but I think I want to buy some of the smaller ones, you know, like this size. I've been calling these 3-inch pots for the longest time. I think they're actually 2.5 inch. You can see that's quite a size difference. It just makes a really big difference about how much compost it takes. If you've got, you know, 20 tomatoes or something that you just want to put on into these, this takes a considerable amount more compost and space, of course, as well. So I think actually I've bought the wrong size, but they look okay. They look like they'll last a few seasons. I'm not like amazed with them or anything though. This is the good stuff though. These Oakland Garden pots are famous really now. I got them for a few reasons. I do want a few more potato pots on the allotment. I think they look really, really nice up against the tunnel, and they just come in handy. They're so good for just all sorts of things. I've only got about 8 on the plot, so I've ordered 10 more. Yeah, 10 more, and I've got some new little gravel trays as well. Now, I used to get the gravel trays from Wilko, and obviously Wilko's kind of gone bust. So I did an order of the Garland midi trays, not the mini trays, the midi trays, and they just don't quite fit the container-wise cells that I like to use. And it just means that they're not all in contact with the bottom. So when you bottom water, the Garland ones and the container-wise ones don't quite get along. So I thought I'd try these out. These feel really good quality. Something like gravel trays, I feel like it's worth investing in a lot of them and getting them all the same size so you can neatly stack them. And you don't want something that's only going to last a couple of seasons. These feel really, really strong. The Wilko ones are really good, and so are the Garland ones. But does it fit? That's the question. I did mean to mention as well, Elixir Gardens are where I get my 1 litre pots from, and when you go up to the 1 litre size, they turn really strong and really robust. All of my main chili plant pots that I was showing are Elixir Gardens. A lot of them I bought 5 years ago. They're these are the 5 litre ones. These are literally, I bought these my first year of growing chili peppers, 2018. I think I've had 1 breakage because I probably carried it like just on the very lip, and it probably had like rocks or something in it, not compost. So yeah, Elixir Gardens are generally my go-to. They've not sponsored this or given me anything, but a lot of people ask me which ones I recommend. But the Garland, this is exactly what I mean. So I've got a little flower tray here, and these are the container-wise ones that I really love. The 8x5, you know, the 40 cell, and they do fit inside the Garland ones if you just kind of loosely place them. They're kind of catching on the edge, and you can really push it down and it can touch the bottom, but then it kind of rocks up on the other side. So I don't think it's in full contact, and if you push down on this side and push down on this side, then it kind of comes up in the middle a little bit. So I don't think all of this has, look at that flex. Can you see that? I'm not really sure if you can see, but it just concerns me slightly. I mean, there's a few in here, there's water in the bottom of this tray, and there's a few plants that are drying out. And I think that's just because they don't quite fit. It's a moment of truth with the Oakland Gardens. Once again, they've not sent me this, not sponsored or anything. Yes, that's a much better fit. If anything, this is too good a fit. It goes quite deep, and it's actually going to then become quite difficult to get this tray out because you can't really get purchase. Okay, it's a little bit more awkward, but I would rather that and have well-watered seedlings that are all getting the right amount of water. Yeah, I think I might end up replacing a lot of my trays because I can't get the Wilko ones now. Well, not replacing them, but when I buy new ones, I think they might actually be from Oakland Garden. I quite like those. Just been pottering around a bit, and you know, it's really good when you've got like no real time limit, no real plan, but does mean you can sort of aimlessly wander around a little bit, but sometimes that's good. Sometimes that's what you need. You know, I quite often, you know, if I come to the allotment and I'm in a rush, it's a little bit stressful. I've got, you know, a list of jobs, which is good, but today we're just kind of muddle through, and this is the sort of thing I wouldn't really normally show. I'm just making up a little seaweed emulsion, a little seaweed fertilizer, because a lot of the seedlings, like the tomatoes and some of the chilies in the polytunnel, just look like maybe they would benefit from a little boost. It's a really good idea to keep the humidity up in the tunnel as well, so spraying is a good idea. I should probably use that big 5 litre sprayer, actually, that I've just brought up, but didn't think of that, and this is it now. But let me show you what I mean. Everything in this tunnel, for whatever reason, is looking pretty nice and healthy. All the chilies looking really good. Some fantastic growth from the nodes there, internodal growth, and the stems kind of shooting forth with life on that one and on this one too. Really, really good signs. Exactly what I wanted to see when I brought the chili peppers out into the greenhouse. So they're all looking really healthy, but in here, these tomatoes, and actually I wanted to mention this as well. I've had a bit of an issue with this tray. This is that Garland kind of self-watering tray with the capillary matting in. And what I've found is that really it's just not quite working. I don't know if it's tomatoes or the wrong variety, but what I am finding is a lot of the roots are just meeting that capillary matting, and the matting doesn't really keep the soil moist because there's not much soil that's in contact with that. And what has happened is I've overwatered it and the water went properly stagnant this absolutely reeks. So today I want to get these kind of potted on pronto. This one got waterlogged as well really early on because I've put it under a window in the greenhouse that wasn't watertight. So all of these tomatoes, you can see, they've been quite stressed. They've not had the best temperature. There's one of them's kind of bolted, that spoon there. Flowering way too early. So I think I'm probably going to pot these on today, but something like this where your plants just look a little bit under the weather. I find quite often a little foliar feed with the seaweed like this. Oh, what a ring. Foliar feed with the seaweed can just give your plants just a little boost. I'm not sure how backed by science this one is. Probably quite good for these sweet potatoes as well, which are looking much healthier now, but they have taken a little bit of a hit. Look at this. Tim's Taste of Paradise, barely hanging on in there. Please pull through. I'm not going to do it on this one up here because this is a test one and there's another test tray in the greenhouse. All these aubergines as well looking absolutely terrible, just not doing much at all. Maybe this will give them a little boost. Maybe these ones need a repotting, to be honest. Maybe they just need some fresh compost. They've had a bad time, a bad start to their life. Some of these chilies too, these are the ones that were colder. So these were all the ones that got a little bit of cold shock, looking a little bit poorly. I think they could probably benefit from a little misting, and the ones in the polytunnel too. The Havana Cold looks like it's starting to fruit already, not great. Everything's had a nice little spritz, makes you feel a bit like a hairdresser. And I think what I'm going to do to start is, yeah, God, how long are we into this video and I'm finally starting a job? Nearly dropped it. But I think I'm going to start with getting all these in because their roots are kind of in the sun and that kind of thing. I think that all these flowers that I've brought up from the conservatory are going to want to get in the ground much sooner rather than later. So what I quite like to do with these is just plant up little kind of, these are mostly small-ish bedding plants, and I do quite like to, on these beds, just go in along the edges, in the corners, little bits, kind of, you know, odd numbers of plantings, and quite often it just gives a little bit of interest to the beds. So I think that's what I'm going to start with. I think what I'm going to do for a lot of these is just find a little corner, give it a little hoe. I mean, pretty much all of these beds will hopefully get hoed today. They're just starting to flower, some of these weeds, so you just want to get them in the nick of time before they flower and set seed and spread all over the bed. And then once the bed has been hoed, then I'll go in and do a little bit of planting and prettying up. And then when I get my main crops into the bed, which should be relatively soon, hopefully, that is when I will give it a really good thick top mulch, A, to feed the soil, and B, to suppress any more weeds that are going to be coming up that you kind of disturb when you do this ground hoeing. One I missed. No, get the root, yes! This has been one of those blissful days. I'm not sure how strong these palette colours are for me to sit on, but just having a great time. I do wish I'd had slightly more sleep. I'm not feeling very well rested, but aside from that, having a great time. What am I going to put in here? Maybe a scabious in the middle. So yeah, mostly just doing flowers, but we've got 3 of the big main beds weeded quite nice. The brassica beds, I'm not gonna do too many flowers under because they're kind of hidden by the netting and that kind of thing. Oh, this is a big pot. I think this is the Black Knight scabious in here. There's a little bit of bindweed right at the bottom of this hole. It is just kind of in this bed, and it's one of those things that I don't really think I'm going to be able to get rid of. It's coming over from next door in quite dramatic fashion, so I shall just keep chipping away at it, digging it out as low as I can when I see it. This is the silver grey black night scabious, looking really good, really healthy, nice roots. I've just been planting all these out with a bulb planter and a little bit of spent compost just for that ideal texture, just to help them get their roots away. And it's been really nice today, just doing a bit of, this nice mix of a little bit of weeding the beds. I didn't want to go crazy with the bed prep, like I was saying in the other episode, and get every single one ready, only for them to start getting more weedy. Putting a little bit of wormwood in here. I'm not sure exactly what it's going to do. I want to hold some of that back and have it sort of at the entrance and exit to the polytunnel, because it's meant to be a fantastic pest deterrent. But I've got absolutely loads of it, and in here we're going to plant a little peach Melba nasturtium. It's not looking super healthy, but hopefully it will perk up over here. We do have this as well, a single overwintered, I've forgotten the name of this one. Help me out in the comments, folks. It's like a green manure, kind of winter flowering, well, overwintering flower that everyone loves. Phacelia, something, it might be that. But yeah, it's been really nice. 3 beds down. I've got the sweet pea bed planted up as well. That looks really, really nice. Little selection of flowers. I've got some dahlias that have gone out. These ones, I think I've put the asters in this one because this is a dedicated little just flower bed kind of tucked away at the back of the allotment. I can just see a few gooseberries on there just starting to form. So this is all flowers in here. We've got lobelias on the edges. Hopefully they'll trail up a little bit. And yeah, hopefully these asters and the dahlia back here will get really nice and big. And we'll have a good little show in this dedicated flower bed. It's really nice having a few flower beds. The same is true of that sweet pea bed, you know. It's nice to have just a space. I like dotting them around, but being able to go, this is just for flowers, is quite nice. Really enjoy it. So I think I'll maybe just do a little bit more bed prep on those onions and carrots, because they have been really weedy, and a little bit, I'm feeling a bit of shame every time I do a tour. So I'm going to do that and then turn my attention to the absolutely wild grassland that has formed. I might actually give some of these a quick weed and do some of these as parsnip beds actually. Like one of these filled with parsnips is a really good size for us. It's very, very small little beds, but you know, I don't want freezers, you know, freezer drawers full of parsnips. So just a few does us quite nice, but you can see, oh, that's a lot of grass. These paths are absolutely just chock-a-block. And I think this really just goes to show, I mean, I trimmed this maybe 2 weeks ago, and it just goes to show that whoever had this plot before was, whenever they were doing the grass, I don't think they were cutting and removing. It really highlights for me the importance of removing the cutting. So even if you're just using a strimmer and you don't have a lawnmower that collects them all, really recommend it on your allotment. Rake up your grass afterwards, because not only does that mean you then have fantastic compost material that's going to heat up your compost, you also will slow down this grass growth and make less work for yourself in the long run. I can't believe the vigor of the grass on these paths. I mean, compare it to the rest of my plot, which I've been mowing and removing those cuttings for quite a few years. It's just night and day, you know. There is a little bit, it's getting a little bit tufty and a little bit tufty over here around the greenhouse, but it doesn't really compare. It's very, very different. And it's so important as well for reducing the vigor if you're trying to make a meadow, like I'm trying to do under here. And you can actually see, I mean, the grass growth under the trees there is markedly different to a patch in there, and I always struggle to get as many arisings out from under the trees, and the trees are going to be dropping apples and all that kind of stuff. So I can just see the nutrient difference taking shape over time as I'm properly cutting and removing. And for wildflower establishment, you don't want nutrient-rich soil. The most kind of biodiverse meadows are kind of nutrient-starved. They're kind of in the middle to get the top of that species richness curve. But there's just so many benefits to cutting and removal is my point. So I'm going to get out the lawnmower, which I haven't done in, a year I guess, and probably a little bit more. and we're going to see if I can get it running. It's pretty temperamental, this thing. It is quite bad up here, actually, the grass growth, and I think that's because of the compost base, and I think you probably get a bit of leachate kind of running through and enriching this soil. Now, I'm in hushed volume because I've got a robin nesting in the shed, so I need to try and do this without disturbing them. I'm not sure how well that's going to go, but if they fly out and attack me, I do want it on camera because I think it will be very funny. I think the mother's in there on the nest, guarding it, so looks like quite a clear path to the mower. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get out here. The issue is this door isn't quite failing. I mean, it's getting harder and harder to open, but it's actually this entire side. It's just kind of listing, which means the door gets lower and lower and gets jammed. I'm also a little bit concerned that removing this might make the entire floor collapse. It's not good. Sorry, Robin, sorry. She's tucked right down in the nest, hiding. I can just see her, the tip of her tail poking out the top of the nest. Hello, old friend. Are you going to work for us today? I imagine you can probably get pretty good powered battery mowers these days. I've not ever really seen anyone using those. You do tend to still get petrol tools on allotments just because of their portability. Not ideal. Battery powered tools are so much more efficient as well, you know. They actually use like way less energy than petrol, but you know, we use what we've got, don't we? This thing was an absolute bargain, but there's a reason it was a bargain. Temperamental with a capital T. Oh, it's got life. Oh, that's smoky. It does often start smoky and then clear up. I'm not sure if it's got oil in the engine. But while it's on, might as well make use of it as quick as possible. It's quite nice using something with this power after using that strimmer for so long, which is really handy. This is quicker. I feel guilty for ever doubting the trusty mower. Not turned on for a year, starts right up, barely any. It used to be quite farty. I think in the past I might have overfilled the oil actually. It's running like a dream today. Stalled it on a tree stump, but other than that, all smooth and just look incredibly satisfying to have this mown today. I know I've been strimming a lot since the start of the season, but it's just not the same. It's not the same, so I'm really glad I've still got the lawnmower. I've left quite a few bits of the grass long because the whole idea with a meadow is you want some things to be flowering. You know, they need to have the chance to flower and set seed, but I do still want to collect the nutrients and strip them, so it's always a bit of a balancing act. Biggest difference certainly up here though. I've just removed Fort Fox, and now what I do need to do is go around and get all these edges on the bed, but just, oh, look at it. Look at it. I've left a few little patches here and there for the daisies so I can get in with the strimmer. Can't bring myself to get rid of healthy plants sometimes. Oh, I did miss a patch there though. That's terrible. These peas, they look like they're deviating. They're not behaving. There's a few just kind of in here, this little patch that looks like it's coming away from the support. So I might just sort of tie those in quickly actually. But then, like I say, time to get the strimmer out. Then, oh, just look at this at the back as well. Look at that line. I love it. I love it. When I first got the strimmer, I thought maybe I wouldn't need the lawnmower, but I can't deny it does bring me a lot of satisfaction. The grass paths are a lot of work, but a vital source of compost material, and I personally love the look of it, especially after it's been trimmed. Obviously, I was going to swing the camera around and be like, look at these beds and the nice grass paths, but they are still a little bit messy. It's time to fix that. I am feeling on the verge of being pooped. We're coming up to kind of 4:30, I think. Very, very warm today, but so good, so good. Oh, definitely flagging a little bit. It's a bit of a shame. One of the jobs I never quite got round to doing was finishing this patio area. There's slabs down, but there's so many weeds going up through the middle. I really wanted to, it's a real hodgepodge of different slabs as well. They're all slightly different shapes and sizes. But I just wanted to get some weed membrane under it and level it out a little bit, and then we'll have a really nice seating area here with the sweet peas and the flowers. That's still the plan, but quite a low priority job. I'm feeling it. I'm definitely flagging slightly. I think we've just gone past 5 and everything's been trimmed. It's looking absolutely amazing. It really does feel like a little slice of paradise, the allotment, when it's coming into leaf. It's full of blooms. It's still a bit early for the flowers on my allotment, but just after you've mowed the grass, it just looks so, so good. I think I'm sort of on the verge of giving up, but I think if I just have a little sit under the apple tree and just sort of catch my breath for a little bit, I think I might get a second wind, and there's plenty of other little bits and bobs that I want to do. I did actually forget about this bed. I think I've said twice in this video already today. I need to weed this one. Good to have a little closer look at the carrots though. I mean the germination is very patchy, or I think what might have actually happened is that they have germinated and then been slugged. Oh, there's some cool spiders that I've never seen before. Quite small with black and white markings. It's quite cool. But yes, either way, I do need to get in here and have a weed, and I've just noticed, I think very sadly, I've not left myself enough room. I've got an onion hoe somewhere, which is really good for hoeing in between rows when you've sowed things slightly too close to the edge of the bed. These mushrooms are so weird. I'm slightly concerned about the lack of growth on the onions. I'm not too sure if they're gonna perk up at all. This red onion is growing, but I think that's it. I think there's one red onion that has actually started growing. Every other onion, pretty much since I put them in the ground, has not moved much. But loads and loads of grass in here that I want to just dig up a little bit, see if I can get those roots. This isn't really a no-dig bed, so I don't need to be too careful. But I need an onion hoe and a dandelion weeder. I didn't get my onion hoe, but I did find this, which is just as useful. In fact, probably more useful, because it's got this nice little rake feature, which is really good for when you've got something that's kind of got those sprawling roots under the surface. But I've been really kind of looking forward to getting into this bed for a long time actually, and having a closer look, because I've had Fort Fox on it and it's just been sort of left to its own devices. I've not had a proper look, so it is good to kind of get in here and see what's doing what, and it's not too encouraging. Even the carrots that have germinated, I mean, they're not going too fast. That line is doing much, much faster than this line, and those two lines over here, they've got nothing. So I might just re-sow those, to be honest. I did those as well when I did those in this direction instead of that direction, which was a bit of a mistake. I realised it's much more efficient to grow kind of north-south, and I should have probably oriented my beds the other way so you can have shorter rows, but hey-ho, one of those things. This is going to be an interesting test as well of how how easy it is to weed. This sized bed, I think it's fine. You know, I can reach across the middle there just fine. I just have to say, like, that little break, sometimes, you know, stopping and just enjoying the allotment is just what you need, you know, feeling so refreshed. And I just love being here sometimes, you know, it really, I often just say, you know, it hits the spot, and it just such a stress reliever. Ooh, that scared me. Feeling really relaxed and just enjoying life, you know. A day like today with the birds singing and the sun and just a lot of your things going in the right direction. It's just easy to feel like, you know, everything is right with your little patch of the world. We've had such a stressful week after a holiday, like painting and decorating and DIY hell. Just coming up here for the entire day. Oh, what a treat. Hard work, but so rewarding. And this is what you get, these little weeds. And I wouldn't, you know, I'm getting quite close to this and kind of going over it with a, it's not really a fine tooth comb, but I'm paying quite a lot of attention to this bed. I'm doing it quite slowly. You know, I could just go over it really quickly, try and go over everything. But I like to look a little slower, look at the weeds, look at what's coming up, see what do I recognise, you know, if there's a little bit of grass like this, try and get the roots, shake it off, and, you know, make sure it's not going to instantly start to regrow. Just, you know, I like to just enjoy myself sometimes, rather than trying to rush through everything. It just feels like the vibe for today, really. Some bees in the gladioli under the camera. So yes, I'm going to put my podcast back on and carry on enjoying a little bit of weeding. I have a feeling that these guys are leaning in that direction because although the sun rises over here and sets over there, the plum trees are probably giving them quite a lot of shade. So they're wanting, you know, to go in the direction where they're getting the most sun, which is that direction. But I'm hoping that nothing fancy here, but just this one bit of string is going to hopefully bring everything into line like that. It is slightly faffy, which is a shame because the whole idea of investing the time and energy into this structure and frame was that so that we wouldn't have to do this, but I can abide it. I can allow the need for one string because these guys are growing so well and they look so good. These put a real smile on my face. I think that should do it. Look at this one, this little rebel. You'll find your way eventually, I'm sure. Now, I'm just going to harvest some lettuce to take home, but I feel like really spending a bit of time in the polytunnel is probably next on the to-do list. I think I really need to just spend a little bit of time getting this bed kind of finalised and ready, get rid of all these spring greens, which aren't really doing much. Oh, I've just noticed these leeks have started to bolt as well, which is not surprising given the temperatures in here. But if you've got any tips about how, you know, should I cut these off or let them do their thing, maybe leave a few and just collect the seed. There's some pretty puny leeks in here, to be honest, but I do think it would be really good to get in here and just get the bed just ready for the tomatoes. I think I'll do a nice kind of manure mulch on here and just make sure that if the tomatoes suddenly start rocketing away, I'm not going to be caught out. Oh, a little click beetle in here. It's quite cool. Really happy with these. These were just kind of sown on a whim, you know, right at the start of the season. I'll chuck a few seeds in here, just see what they do, and they've just started to heart up. Obviously they're sown way too densely, so I've just been thinning them out, but some are looking really good, and these radish are well and truly done now, but look at this. I'm not actually sure whether or not these are edible or not at this point, but I'll give them a go. I think that's it for today. Thank you ever so much for watching. An extra special thank you to all of my Chili Pepper tier patrons: Tony, Bill, Pam, Louise, Mel, Michael, Denise, Socks in the Garden, Andrew, Sarah, Dorcasaur, Louise, Angela, Andre and Brett. You are absolute stars, and hopefully I'll see you all again in the next one.